Good to see you on the chat here. Wanted to introduce the two stars in my book here. I wanted to go over really just first off, let's welcome you guys. Welcome to the Zoom here. I understand it's been pretty hot over there lately.
Blistering.
Yes, it's extremely hot.
I'm glad that I've been in a little bit cooler weather. This has been kind of a long time coming, guys, for the community. You know, everything happens so fast in the community that that there's been a lot of impatience in getting you guys together to kind of really talk about some exciting stuff. And I've been looking forward to this as well, even though I've got a little bit of insider information because I talked to both of you. I think that this is going to be a pretty awesome thing. Now, earlier in the week, I saw a picture of both of you guys, drinking a beer together. What was going on? What were you guys doing? Catch us up to what's been happening.
A lot's been happening. Obviously, we're all here working for the community, and I think that's a top priority. So understand, as much as it would have been nice to do this several weeks ago, I know that Shad's been on multiple different continents. I know that Roy's been back and forth here, and obviously with what I'm doing here in the Emirates, it's been on multiple different continents for all three of us. So getting this put together is a long time overdue, but I'm glad we're able to do it tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So there's been some rumors, right? A lot of funny stuff going around in the community. And I kind of like to start with dispelling some of those things so that we can kind of move on to the real meat and potatoes of this conversation. There's been some rumors about a treasury sell-off. What can you guys tell me about the treasury sell-off? Because my understanding is it was more of a consolidation of wallets.
Yeah, so I'll address that. I think that as things have evolved, as we came out of the SEC issue, we've been able to have a little bit more freedom and start the process again of kind of rebuilding what value was lost. And so there's a number of different opportunities that have been in the works for quite some time, but that were kind of coming to maturity. And with the plentiful amount of opportunities that were coming down the pike, we decided that we were going to be doing some wallet consolidation and getting some of the treasury into a more secure wallet portfolio, and so we ended up condensing a bunch of the different wallets into a handful of them so that we could better manage kind of the evolution of the platform, and as things have accelerated, now that we're coming out of SEC, we're just getting ready for kind of the next evolution of the platform or the additional opportunities that have been a long time coming.
Okay, awesome. There's been some rumors about OG sell-off. What can you guys tell us about that?
Well, I can probably, get into it a little bit. I mean, I've had a lot of friends and family and people around. They're nervous in this time of rebuilding. And, obviously when you can't get, a leader on the phone and, maybe you miss one phone call and people do have a little bit of hysteria. So I think it's very important to understand that we can either spend all day on the phone and putting out fires, or we can just do what we need to be doing, which is, rebuilding and get this thing back on the rails. So I think that's probably the best way to kind of just put it. I do think that, some of the larger holders, they're nervous right now. We're all here in solidarity. We're trying to do things like this in a live format so that we can just, put some of this stuff to rest and understand that if you have questions, we will get back to you. If it doesn't happen the same day, please just understand we're busting our butts and we're on all kinds of different time zones around the world. So that's probably what I have to say about it. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, we're here, together in the UAE, and all playing from the same sheet of music, so to speak, with regards to making these maximizing these opportunities. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but coming out of the SEC issue, which was, painful for everyone involved and took a long time. It was forced 9-month hiatus. So getting free of that kind of, release the barn doors and let the horses out. So now you're seeing the fruits of that labor, and you're seeing a bunch of the residual value that's now coming of that. And again, it was so much value that, we have made the conscious decision to, essentially, double the platform, double the value, double the opportunity, in a sense. And that's where, Jason's, new Lemon vision comes from.
Okay. So there's some rumors about the rebrand of D.E.B.T. And I know that both of you have talked about kind of the damage that was done to the brand, coming out of the SEC. Where does that go? Where does that end up? What does that look like?
I can kind of address it from one side. I think Schad has the right to address it from another. Look, when you have an opportunity to take a minute and start rebuilding, it's probably one just to take a breath for a second and use it as a big positive. And so there has been a lot of things kind of going on. You've got stuff obviously happening in the debt side. For Lemon, for me, we wanted to do something that was different. And we kind of got down to a point of short term. We wanted to basically do something that would touch more people in a freemium model and give more diversification for everybody that we've built relationships with over the last several years. I mean, understand, we are a family, and I've said that consistently over and over and over again. Yep. And so I want to make sure everybody understands, this is something that we are all working for the family. You may sit there and get upset, and you may fight with us a little bit because you may not see something that you think should happen tomorrow. But understand, guys, we're here for the best interest of you. And, I think that's what we all do share. So, if we basically look at it from that standpoint, it's another path of more options. That's it. It's not better or worse. It's just a different path. And
well, Jason, if I can interject for a second, I know some of the conversations that we've had really focus on growth and seeing that there's a significant growth pattern here that really opens up multiple options as opposed to being just linear on a single path. And so I know that some of those conversations that we've had back and forth really focused on that growth and really the options that open up.
Yeah, and I think you're going to find from the Lemon side, and I'll speak very clearly about it. This is something that we are moving forward in a fast rate. We've got large adoption, and with that, you'll have more diversification, even for bringing people onto the rebrand of D.E.B.T. on the other side. And I think this is something that is a win-win for everybody. And if everybody succeeds, that's the goal. And so if one side prospers, guess what? We all do. And I think that's the most important thing to look at.
Yeah, I think it's listen, the end goal here is success, right? We all want success. We all want to win. And I think it's important to reiterate, the fact that, there was a lot of damage done to the brand. And unfortunately, it's just something that we collectively have decided that we want to retire. And so, Jason coming out of the gate with Lemon and that platform, and then the rebranding, hopefully to be announced next week for, the legacy debt box. Will give us, a little bit of a new, a new sheen, right? Like a new paint job, so to speak. And again, and that's exactly right, Roy. The idea was not to limit the opportunities, but to expand the opportunities. And again, Jason wants to run fast. He wants larger adoption. As the original debt box design was more of a long-term buy and hold. So again, not trying to put a definition on the overall platform. It just starts to make sense that it evolves and expands. And again,
more of an evolution for sure.
And again, what Jason's specialties are not our specialties, and what our specialties aren't necessarily Jason's specialties. So we know how to run the businesses the way that they were designed to be built. But at some point, we needed to let the horses out of the barn so they can run free. And again, having one tethered to the other, it just made more sense, and it just makes more opportunity. I like to equate it to, like a record label, right? We've got really strong partners here in the UAE, and our partners here are like our record label. And, we were in a band, Jason was the lead singer, I may have been the drummer. The lead singer decides that, he wants to do, a certain type of music. We want to do a certain type of music. So just like in Nirvana, where Dave Grohl stepped up to Foo Fighters, I'm stepping up to lead vocals for the moment. There's some vacancies to fill, which our strong partners here in the UAE are filling in, those roles. And again, for the community, in the end, it just ends up being, look, you've got, two of the same bands. You got two bands for the price of one, essentially. And now you've got more options. And if you like the music that, the tracks that we created on the first album, the debut album, then, our sophomore albums are going to be that much, more exciting. And I know Jason's got a lot of really exciting, interesting things up his sleeve with Lemon. We're going to add a few more tracks to our LP. But again, ours is more classic rock. His is more, speed metal. Just to kind of put a music theme to this.
Straight rock and roll.
Straight rock and roll. So anyway, straight rock and roll and classic rock. These are the two albums that are now coming out. And again, the audience is the ultimate benefactor of this, right? They've got short-term goals, they've got long-term goals, they've got diversification. It's really a win-win-win. It's a win for Lemon, it's a win for D.E.B.T., it's a win for the community.
Well, good band choices, by the way. I like all those bands. So there's been some rumble about a comment that you made about 3 weeks ago, Schad, I think it was, about tweaking the light papers. And I think some of that was taken out of context. And so some people are concerned that tokenomics may shift or change. Could you address that?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, when we were in the process of going from version 1 to V2, the light papers needed to be updated, which they are updated now, and they will be published on the rewards at the DebtBox.com here, hopefully next week. There's a lot of updates coming from the tech side, which I won't pigeonhole the dev teams into timeframes, because I know how much they love that when we do that to them. So we'll leave that as an open options, but a lot of the work, airdrops and burns and all sorts of groovy stuff, dApps and everything, it's all coming, right? Jason's got his workload full, we have our workload full, and we're working pretty much nonstop to get everything finished and operating properly and out the door. So that's all coming. So the light papers were it was inevitable that they, when we went from, synthetic proof of work to, proof of stake, those needed to be updated. Those are updated. And the comment about the tokenomics changing was just something that I made on one of the last webinars, which was, some of the idea and some of the evolution as the projects mature in the legacy program, may start to have a more of a push up effect as we're going through a trickle down through debt process with some different pairs that could be made in the future and with the token price being at historic lows, some of this would be more beneficial to the projects, maybe for a time or going forward. We're still working with the professionals that we consult with to really hammer this out, but to get the maximum amount of burn out of what we're doing. And as the projects start to the physical projects start to deliver the royalties as was originally intended, within the first 2 to 3 years, those things are coming to fruition now. And so we're trying to be smart about the way that value is applied to maximize the value in the project. So that was the only comment, was that we're investigating some other tokenomics that could potentially benefit the community even more with, maximizing the burns. And that's really, to the extent of what that was about.
Yeah, I'm actually going to, jump back into history. I mean, everybody understands that we actually have made changes to tokenomics. DLG went through a full transition. Those note holders were involved in that. It's not something to be scared about. It's something that if from the leadership, it is recognized from a beneficial to all type of deal. Understand that those need to be talked about and they need to be brought up because
better understood too.
Better understood.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to have a very candid conversation that can't be heated because you need to understand the reasons for the potential changes. And the note holders need to have an opportunity in those. But I don't think it's scary to say, guys, we may be looking at this and here's why, and explain it. We've also done that with natural gas, guys. The community came back and put another halving in a year. So understand that this is not something that's new. It's not something that should scare anybody. And if Schad is starting to see some stuff right now that may benefit you as NFT holders, you shouldn't crucify him for bringing it up if that's going to be something that he wants to talk about in the future. And that's something, obviously Roy and Schad will work with you on the debt and the future that hasn't been released yet on their side. And if it happens on the lemon side, it's the same thing. I mean, understand that we see things that is a different level, being at the top, and we have to look at things not from a selfish standpoint, being from this is going to affect me. How? If we can look at it and say it may affect you today, but it's going to be better for the whole project to succeed, be successful, and strive, then it's something we need to bring out.
Yeah, and guys, we're as invested in this as you are.
More.
Not only do we just not only do we work for the company, but we're also NFT holders as well. So while we're looking out for you, we're also looking out for ourselves, and we're trying to figure out the best way. And let's face it, I don't know a whole lot of Web3 companies that are trailblazing the innovation that we've done at DebtBox and that Jason is now doing at Lemon. And again, with the Lemon platform, there's a lot of new ground being broken and a lot of exciting things coming up. We hope to keep pace with the innovation on the legacy side and the rebrand with some new LPs that will come onto the sophomore album, and we'll go from there. But again, when you're trailblazing and you're innovating, you don't know everything. And trust me, we're the first guys to say we don't know everything about everything. And again, if we learn something or we see something that's valuable along the way, and we want to adopt it or we want to initiate it, then we want to explore those things. But we're doing it for the benefit of the community, and we're doing it for the benefit of everybody involved. So just understand that we've been running really fast for a long time, and unfortunately, we were muzzled for quite some time due to the regulatory issues. But now that we're free of those things, it's time to innovate again, and it's time to create, and it's time to expand, and it's time to build.
Well, I saw an example of that in the last live that I saw you do, Jason, where you had really formulated your tokenomics that would fit a broad base of projects so that you guys can run really fast. And I thought that was pretty awesome that you guys took that approach, as opposed to trying to fit every single one into a specific bucket. You found a much better approach and a much better way of going about it.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to understand something, you guys. Debt is, as much as you guys have been through some of the speed bumps, understand we were the first ones really in the industry. So when you look at all these other projects that are out there, the age of debt and when it was basically done, no one was doing RWAs.
We were doing virtual mining 14 months before Binance even did.
So understand, I mean, this is something that we are trailblazing. We are here. So we didn't know everything because it didn't exist. And we did our best, obviously, as we got off the ground and got running. But understand, this has never been done before. Now we have a lot of other competitors in the space. We're starting to look at and what they may have gotten off of us or seen some other things in the industry. We need to be wide open and say that, hey, look, this is going to be a good thing for the industry. This is going to be a good thing for expansion. This brings a whole new category of real-world assets to play. And this area is not something that is small. You have to compete. Understand, this is a wide open area. And we are in the middle of a 16 to 18 trillion business a year, and I believe those numbers are low. But these are from BlackRock and JP Morgan Chase, and so if you take the experts in the finance arena looking at this space, they think this thing is almost endless. So we're not going to be jumping over each other or fighting over certain sectors. We have chosen that Lemon's going to stick pretty much into the supply chain, call it everything above earth already, and kind of go. And D.E.B.T. really was formed more on everything underground to begin with, and the later projects were above. You're going to kind of see that a little bit in the motion of some of the separation of some of the projects and why those projects fit better in one arena versus another. And I think that that's going to be exciting for some, and some will get a little frustrated about it. But understand, it's not about taking anything from you. It's about giving you more options. It's about giving the community something that is supposed to be a plus. And I'm going to reiterate this: the partners here in the Emirates, you don't get any better. I will tell you that as much as this community has struggled over the last 9 months with a lot of things that were out of every one of our controls, the partners here have been steadfast. And I think that's very important to understand, that they've been backing all of us here, everybody on the call, for a very long time, and that is something that they have never wavered on. And I think that's something to reassure you. They're not going anywhere, because if they went through all that and they took the risk through that and stuck around, understand that everything here on is easy. We got the divorce off before we got married, so they stuck around. So I'll kind of joke about it and lighten the mood, but understand that's just real. And so whether people have actually understood the bantering back and forth in the communities, I know that the people on the phone have been trying to tone that down. And if we have people that may be trying to take sides, and I've got a lot of friends and family, and I know Roy has a lot of friends and family, and I know Schad has a lot of friends and family, and they may not understand the technicals of what's been happening above the line. And unfortunately, we just haven't been able to tell the whole story because of timeframes and when we want to release certain things and coming. We are a family more than most people understand. Mm-hmm. And that goes from the top all the way through. And so I will leave it a little bit at that, but understand there is no reason to bicker back and forth, because all you're doing is you're carrying down the partner you may like on one side versus the other, and it may be the exact same person, you just don't know it. And so the teams, I think, start realizing that very, very quickly. But understand that if you like where you're at, you should really like where everybody else is at too, because we're all here together, because we are all family.
Yeah, I'd like to just add on to that. JP Morgan and BlackRock and Morgan Stanley, and these guys have been talking about tokenization of real world assets for years, and they keep talking about it's a $15-30 trillion industry. Yet we've been doing it for the last almost 3 years now, guys, and that's something to be proud of. That's something to be very, very to hold a flag to, and say, we were one of the first. And again, for a lot of the people that supported the D.E.B.T. in the beginning, and a lot of the new people coming onto Lemon, listen, this is just more options and just better. And again, at one point, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, called Bitcoin a scam. He called it a hustle. And look, now JP Morgan is their ETF is the largest holder of Bitcoin on the planet. And so again, like, by the grace of God, we were lucky enough to be doing something right. So this band, had some really good hits, and it will continue to have good hits, and it will continue to make, number one on the Billboard music chart, projects. And whether that, comes from Lemon or it comes from, a new LP being put onto the sophomore album of D.E.B.T., it's just, you have to wait and see. But there's a lot of really good things that are in store for the community in the future. So now's not a time to be, negative or unpositive. It's time to be excited and to be motivated to see what comes next, because we're definitely turning the chapter on this thing, and we're moving into a new chapter.
Well, and I like how you guys approach that, because one of the interesting things about commodities, or the RWAs, is you have to have that baseline of product in order to do supply chain and things like that. So for instance, you have to have barley, and barley by itself probably is not great. I can't imagine anybody's wanting to go around eating barley. But when they take and process that into something, you come out with some good stuff, right?
You mean like beer?
And I'm saying, I mean, in general, that's you guys can do the barley, I'll do the beer.
Yeah. And so
we grow it, and you can process it.
We'll process it and
bottle it into the aluminum cans.
There we go.
Exactly, and that's really what makes this work so well in the growth of things, is that you have to have an aluminum can to be able to push sodas out, beer out, things like that. You have to have the baseline products, or the RWAs, to be able to deliver on the other side. So really, as this has always been an ecosystem that fed off of each other, for instance, one natural gas and oil go together. They work together. Aluminum, it works for moving forward into other projects, and really everything was kind of meshed together in the beginning. And it's really more of a growth as opposed to anything other than that, because everything transitions, everything develops, right? And as it does, and as it grows, it becomes something new.
It's the evolution of the revolution, Roy.
Absolutely. Now, something I do want to cover is a lot of people get frustrated because there's not clear, distinct communication. And me being on the inside as well, sometimes you can't talk about stuff. There's certain things you just can't talk about for multiple reasons. You've got partners that aren't ready to release information, yet you're halfway in a transition to get something done. You've got regulatory issues. Can you guys cover a little bit of that?
Yeah, from my side, I'm actually going through it. Right now we've got a lot of stuff happening very, very, very quickly, and it doesn't matter how much information we give. I will tell you, they want more, and it's funny because sometimes you've got partners that have very strategic rollouts. They want to basically take the claim for stuff, but more importantly, they want to announce it. They're happy, they're excited.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, you signed a deal. Well, I want to see. Who is it? Well, they're not ready to announce themselves yet. Be patient. It is what it is. And this is not for trying to hold things back. It's more for the fact of saying, guys, this is going to come out when they are ready. And trust me, it's better to just let them announce it, so we don't get into any other issues of announcing something and then there's credibility issues. We'll just have the announcements come from the source. And I think that's what we learned over the last couple of years on a couple announcements we did do. We actually got kicked, candidly.
Yeah.
And
we learned our lesson on that.
And we don't want to do that again. I think you get kicked once or twice. These relationships are hard to come by. And once you get them, you're like, okay, great. Now you want to keep them. More importantly, you don't want to kick them before you've even started. And, this is not a first time rodeo for the debt community and going through that. I can list about 3, but we won't look in the past. We just don't want to do it again. And I think that's something we all share on the phone. It's very frustrating when you put time, effort, energy, and we know it's going to help the community, and then it gets kicked before it even gets off the races. So.
Awesome. So this has been a burning question that I have loved to see both sides of the memes that have gone on. I never could imagine Schad coming out, dancing on a stage, opening. That was pretty awesome. And then a lot of the lemon memes that I've seen are so creative. I think they're amazing. So are you guys planning on continuing this meme campaign? And this is selfish of me because I like looking at all of them. I think they're all pretty cool. Is that something you guys are planning to continue?
I'm going to actually go ahead and do something. So we actually do things more in an organic way, and we do have to shield and tone things down occasionally that get a little inappropriate. But for the most part, we don't have any rules or regulations on the lemon side. We try to keep it pretty open for the fun. You have been in a couple of them, and so I do encourage you to come on over and look around. I will tell you, you've got a cowboy hat on one of them and doing some dances, and and superheroes popping out about it everywhere. So the community is having a lot of fun with it. I do think this was a good way for us to change the mood. And when I was looking at the community in late April, it's tore up, and it really was. And, I looked at it and I said, look, when we basically are doing a rebrand and everyone kind of wants to know about lemons. Well, we've all been dealt lemons. The last 9 months, really in the last 10, 11 months, this has been a struggle. We've had employees that we couldn't keep on because of other issues with some of the history. Everybody understands the speed bumps, and that hurts everybody. So it doesn't matter if it's just us. It's not. It affects you. It affects every time you go to look at your rewards balance. It affects every time you look at the market. Every time you look at it. These are speed bumps, but they're lemons. So we can either look at it and it's all sour, or we can put some sugar on it and spice it up. So I felt the memes were kind of a sugar way to kind of play and build the community back up. And I think, just as Roy said, it's kind of fun to look at them and you laugh and understand that the positivity is actually very infectious. And I think the group, is getting much better. We have some really negative people that, quite honestly, they've changed their tune. And I think now they're looking at both sides and it's saying, wait a second, hold on, they're not against each other. Well, I don't think you've ever got me and Schad to come out and talk about half the things the community is talking about and fist fights and that. We just haven't been vocal and we haven't been out in public. We've been on different continents. And so I think that, understanding that the sourness needs to go, even though it's lemon, it's time to put some sugar on things and really lighten the tone on both sides and show some appreciation. And honestly, put yourself and pat yourself on the back. You guys have been in RWAs longer than virtually anybody on the planet. And so, this is.
And lesser companies and lesser organizations and lesser communities would have survived all this.
Very much so.
And here we are. And we're still, very much trailblazing and at the top of the food chain with Web3 companies that are coming out. And again, we're pretty, we have our fingers on the pulse of what's going on. And again, there's nothing like us. Nothing like the evolution of the revolution that's taking place right now. And again, here we go again. There's lots of trailblazing going on. There's just two trails being blazed at the moment. And again, it's going to be for the ultimate benefit of you guys, of the community. And that's what we all share equally. It's the first thing we think about when we get up, and it's the last thing we think about when we go to bed, is what do we need to do to make this, a more stronger value position for our community, and how do we continue to win together?
Well, I like the positivity approach. It's something that I've always tried to do, is to stay positive about things. And there's a quote by a guy named Roy T. Bennett, and it goes, instead of focusing on what you cannot control, shift your energy into what you can create. Now, the question I have is, I know you guys have been through a lot of adversity over the last little bit. So has the community. And so when you don't have control of something, like a lot of the community members don't have direct control over how things move, over the price of tokens, over the things that come against us. How would you guys approach them and say, look, taking this approach of not worrying about what you can't control and focusing on what you can create, how would you guys approach them in saying, this is what you can do to support, to build, to bring things together, to lift things up?
So, look, we get the question, what about price? 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 Almost to the point where it's been shut down, because it fills up the chats and everything like that. When I was running it, and now that that has transpired over to Schad and Roy's team, understand this is not productive. What it is productive to is making sure you're listening to why it is what it is, and understanding the tokenomics behind it, understanding the physical projects underneath it. And some projects just move quicker than others. Some will have royalties that are bigger than others, and the longer you wait, those royalties are probably a lot bigger. In the smaller projects, when you have one-offs or the smaller companies, you may get there quicker, but understand that there's no way to keep up with I think Schad and Roy shared a post the other day. There was like 16 billion of infrastructure spend going into Ghana for oil and gas. That type of money just doesn't exist in a pizza parlor or a hair salon, or some of the smaller businesses in that we'll be focusing on over at Lemon. But it does happen into the commodity sector. And so, although that I believe we were actually in Africa when that project was announced, and it just takes time. You have to get through Parliament, you got to get permits, you got to get financiers, you got to get private and public put together. So although you hear something, you think it's going to happen tomorrow, and that's just not always the case. And so I'm gonna go ahead from the lemon side and do a little sweet on here. Kind of a break and just hear what they're saying. Read between the lines. There are some things they probably can't tell you that they want to really badly, but they're just not ready to yet. And so, if I could basically tell everybody, put a little sugar on it and be patient, ask respectfully, and respect the community members as well. That's how I handle it, and I think that it goes a long way. And
yeah, I think that Jason's right. Not all projects are on any given week or month or day are going to be, in the position that we want them to be. That's as essentially administrators of the platforms, we do our best to apply the TLC where it needs to be. If one needs more attention than the other, then it's given that attention. And again, I remember early on, a lot of the people were asking Jason, well, which project do you prefer over which other project? And it was like trying to decide on, what child you're going to pick, right? They're all important to you and you love them all equally, but they're different in a lot of different ways. So you have to raise or mature the projects, according to the different industries and the different commodities that they're associated with. And again, beverage distribution is much different than developing an oil and gas field. And again, the value propositions will come at different, terms and timeframes. Some will be faster than others will be longer, but they could be bigger. There's different reasons for a lot of different things. I think at the end of the day, look, you focus on what you can control, and we apply the expertise, and we bring in the experts and the professionals that we need to help when we don't have the expertise to be able to guide these things through. And we pray about the things that we don't, and we hope for the best. Again, I want to reiterate, we're trailblazing here. We've been doing this for a number of years now, and the community's been behind us, and lesser communities would not have survived all the speed bumps that we've encountered. But here we are on the other side of yet almost a third year coming up, and we're thriving. And not only thriving, but we're expanding and creating new opportunities and more opportunities. And again, so, again, as Jason said, put some sweet on it. We got to focus on the positive here. Nothing is falling away. Everything is being pulled up and pulled through to the other side after a lot of adversity. But I think that the future holds a lot of opportunity for everybody that wants to pay attention to what we've created and what's about to be created.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate you guys. I know you're super busy. Thanks for getting together and going through this. Is there any final thoughts that you guys would like to add before we close this up?
Yeah, I do want to just say something. I want to actually give a big thanks out to Promax United. Obviously, they've been doing a lot for us. The name's now out there. It's been whispered around for quite some time. And, the partners here are solid, and they're not the only ones. They're a very big part of the ecosystems. And I want to make sure that they get a big thanks for sticking around through the bumps in that. And you guys don't really understand what that actually means for the growth of the ecosystems and what they're doing. And so, I've heard a lot of people, what does that actually mean to me? Well, it may not mean something today, right, this particular second, because things don't move that quickly when you're doing one project versus the other. But understand it has a big impact in the Web3 space. And so, I'd like to probably leave with that and kind of go.
Yeah, I'd just say that, the UAE in general, right, is a pretty amazing place. Like, where us as Americans, can't get our regulatory stuff together and have a roadmap. They here were very innovative as well and took the opportunity to really drive kind of the industry with regulation and created a framework that we could operate within. And my hat's off to them, because the leaders here in the UAE really know their stuff, and they're really inviting us in and providing lots of opportunity for Web3 companies to come innovate here and to grow and to create. And they want to be the center of the digital universe. And this desert that we're in right now is the center of the digital universe.
But it's hot.
And it's very hot.
Very hot.
And unfortunately, the U.S. is being turned into a digital desert. So hopefully soon that will change. And we'll have more innovation, and we'll have we'll be able to take these tokenization opportunities to, more and more people around the world, and democratize the value that we're trying to do, and that hold for a lot of the initial mission statements that we had from the very, very, first day. So listen, things look bright for a lot of reasons, and we're very excited for the future. So I just want to thank everybody for their patience and hanging in there. And again, things are looking really good.
Well, thank you both. Thanks to Promax. Thank you both, and we're going to sign off. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
guys.
Roy.